Welcome to today's World News Update for May 3, 2023. Here are the most important stories from around the globe. New Alzheimer's drug slows cognitive decline by 35%, trial results show. U.S. Special Forces simulate Taiwan defense against China for first time. Russians are storing explosives at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Proposal to reduce work week to 40 hours advances in Congress. Swiss lawmakers agree to ban bonuses at too big to fail banks. Lockheed to produce 126 F-35s for U.S. allies in $7.8 billion deal. Independent report slams indiscriminate arrests at French pension protests. UN rights experts denounce planned Saudi executions of megacity opponents. Amnesty International criticized for using AI-generated images. Stay informed and stay safe, and join us tomorrow for more world news updates. New Alzheimer's drug slows cognitive decline by 35%, trial results show. According to late-stage trial results, a new Alzheimer's drug called donanemab has slowed cognitive decline by 35% compared to a placebo in patients with early-stage Alzheimer's. The drug met all trial goals and resulted in 47% of patients showing no signs of the disease progressing after a year, compared to 29% on a placebo. Additionally, patients on donanemab experienced 40% less decline in the ability to perform daily activities, and a 39% lower risk of progressing to the next stage of the disease. However, the drug also resulted in side effects, including brain swelling in 24% of patients and brain bleeding in 31.4% of the donanemab group. Lilly plans to apply for approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration next month and regulators in other countries shortly thereafter. This follows last year's trial results that showed lecanemab, made by Eisai and Biogen, reduced the rate of cognitive decline by 27% in patients with early Alzheimer's, leading experts to say it presents a rapidly growing threat to future health and social care systems in every community, country, and continent. U.S. Special Forces simulate Taiwan defense against China for first time. The U.S. Special Operations Command, USASOC, has conducted a simulation of Taiwan's defense against a potential Chinese invasion. The drill involved American forces landing several CH-47 Chinook helicopters on a concrete structure resembling a landing zone on the island nation. The troops then simulated tactics employed during the global war on terror, including breaching tunnels and operating switchblade kamikaze drones. In addition, the soldiers practiced capture evasion, responded to information warfare, and addressed gray zone tactics employed by China. The USASOC simulation comes as China continues to view Taipei as part of its territory that should be reunited by force, if necessary. The soldiers also demonstrated intermediate to advanced command of Mandarin to gain a critical advantage on the battlefield. Russians are storing explosives at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. This is a highly concerning development, as the placement of military equipment and explosives in a nuclear power plant poses a significant risk to the safety of the plant's personnel and nearby residents. The fact that this has now been reported in 3 separate power units at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is alarming and highlights the ongoing threat posed by Russian aggression in the region. It is crucial that the international community takes action to address the situation and put pressure on Russia to cease its destabilizing activities in Ukraine. The call by the State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate for tough sanctions on enterprises in the Russian nuclear industry and their affiliates is a step in the right direction, but more must be done to ensure the safety and security of nuclear facilities in the region. Proposal to reduce work week to 40 hours advances in Congress. The Chamber of Deputies in Mexico approved a bill on May 3 to reduce the work week from 48 to 40 hours and guarantee at least 2 days off for every 5 days worked. The bill must still pass both houses of Congress and be approved by a 3/5 majority in each chamber as a constitutional amendment. The proposed legislation, which was formulated by the Citizens Movement Party, would mean that workers receive overtime pay for any hours worked beyond 40. The original bill called for a 35-hour work week, but the final version was watered down. Mexico currently has the longest average work week in the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, at 40.9 hours per week. The World Health Organization has ranked Mexico as having the highest level of work-related stress in the world. Swiss lawmakers agree to ban bonuses at too big to fail banks. The House of Representatives in Switzerland passed a bill on Tuesday to ban systemically relevant banks from paying certain bonuses and limiting payouts for top executives and risk managers. The proposal from the Social Democrats received support from 101 lawmakers, with 70 against, and will now go to the Senate for approval. If passed, it would become law. The Swiss government is also considering legal options to limit big bank bonuses. The bill was submitted by the Social Democrats, who argued that the implicit state guarantee received by large banks means that any risk taken by such institutions ultimately falls to taxpayers. The move comes after Credit Suisse Group AG was taken over by UBS Group AG following a crisis that forced the fusion of Switzerland's two largest financial institutions. Lockheed to produce 126 F-35s for U.S. allies in $7.8 billion deal. Lockheed Martin has been awarded a $7.8 billion contract to supply 126 F-35 Lightning II multi-role fighter aircraft to the U.S. and several other countries by August 2026. The contract includes 81 F-35A configuration aircraft, 26 F-35B configuration aircraft, and 19 F-35C configuration aircraft. The F-35 is a fifth-generation fighter aircraft originally developed for the U.S. Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps, with improved situational awareness and a payload capacity of 18,000 pounds. The contract also includes the provision of air system diminishing manufacturing sources integration, software data loads, critical safety items, and red gear to the U.S. and its international allies. Last year, Lockheed Martin signed a contract with the U.S. Department of Defense to build 375 F-35s for $30 billion. Independent report slams indiscriminate arrests at French pension protests. France's chief inspector for prisons has published a report which criticizes police tactics and highlights serious breaches of fundamental rights and the trivialization of police custody without legal basis. The report, which follows 2 nights of violent clashes triggered by President Emmanuel Macron's decision to force his deeply unpopular pension reform through parliament without a vote in mid-March, said French police made widespread use of preventive arrests to quell protests. The report's author, Dominique Simonot, a former investigative journalist at satirical weekly newspaper Le Canard Enchaîné, denounced a systematic use of police detention as a method of repression, and only 20% of arrests resulted in charges. UN rights experts denounce planned Saudi executions of megacity opponents. UN human rights experts have criticized Saudi Arabia for the impending execution of 3 members of the Huwaitat tribe. The individuals were reportedly charged with terrorism, but the experts believe they were arrested for opposing forced evictions connected to the planned Neom megacity project. The 3 men were sentenced to death last year, with their sentences upheld in January. The experts claim the actions in question do not meet the threshold for the death penalty under international law. The UN also called on Saudi authorities to investigate allegations of torture and review the sentences. Rights groups have accused Saudi Arabia of illegally displacing Huwaitat tribe members from their homes in 3 villages without adequate compensation and violently cracking down on those who oppose eviction. Amnesty International criticized for using AI-generated images. Amnesty International has faced criticism for using AI-generated images to promote their reports on social media, including fake photos of Colombia's 2021 protests. While the police brutality used by Colombian police to quell national protests in 2021 was real and well documented, Amnesty International's use of AI-generated images to highlight the issue has been deemed misleading and potentially damaging to the credibility of the human rights advocacy group. The images were removed from social media posts after concerns were raised by photojournalists and media scholars. Amnesty International stated that they chose to use the AI-generated images to protect protesters from possible state retribution, but acknowledged the ethical dilemmas posed by the use of such technology and the importance of understanding its implications.